Welcome back to Jersey Real Estate Insights, your go-to channel for everything you need to know in New Jersey real estate market. Today we have a special guest, Glenn Gallucci, a seasoned investor and private lender. Glenn has a wealth of knowledge about real estate industry, and today he's going to share with us how to do wholesaling. Let's start with Glenn. Hi Glenn, it's great to have you here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Glenn, let's dive right in. What exactly wholesaling is?
Well, wholesaling is exactly like it sounds. It's when someone is getting a product at one price and then resells it at another price. And in real estate, this pertains to houses. So wholesaling houses in real estate means someone goes out and they find a house, preferably a house that's in a distressed situation, under market value. They go out, they get the house, they put it under contract with the seller, and then they go out and they find a cash buying investor that is willing to pay more than what they have the house under contract for. In other words, if they get a house under contract, then they would go and they would assign their contract to this cash buyer for a fee. And then that would put the cash buyer in the position that the wholesaler was in, dealing directly with the seller. So the wholesaler would go out and put it under contract and assign that contract to another investor. Now it's important to remember they are not just what we call flipping houses, okay? They're not matching a seller with a buyer because you need a real estate license to do that. What they're doing is, once they get that house under contract, so they're going to assign their equitable interest in the property to another person for a fee.
That's a great explanation. So give us an example how that can work.
So an example would be, a person goes out and finds a house and they get it under contract for $300,000. Now they would go out to find a cash investor that would take over that contract for $300,000. But in order for the investor to do that, they need to pay an assignment fee. The wholesaler has the house for $300,000 and they're going to assign that contract to a cash investor for, let's just say, $10,000. So now the wholesale assignment fee is $10,000. Now the investor is going to pay the $10,000 and they take over the spot where they're now going to be buying the house from the seller for $300,000. So what did the house really cost the investor? It's the $300,000 plus the $10,000 assignment fee that they paid to the wholesaler. So that's how wholesaling works. They get the house on the contract for $300,000, they assign it for $10,000, and the cash buyer ends up paying $310,000. If the wholesaler wanted to make $20,000, they would say, okay, would you take this position for $300,000, but I want a $20,000 assignment fee. So that's how the wholesaler makes money. Yeah, they negotiate.
That's amazing. That's a great way of clarifying how this exactly works. So tell us a little bit more how investors find this property.
Great question. There are a number of ways that investors go out and find properties, but let me just give you one of the easiest ways. And that is to work with real estate agents, what I like to call investor-friendly real estate agents. They will go out and look for these properties for these wholesalers. And one of the ways they do that is they search the multiple listing service, commonly known as the MLS. So they can go out and they can look at those houses that are listed on the MLS, but the key is to look for words that show that the sellers are probably very motivated to sell. So they can go into the database and look for descriptions that may contain words like must sell, handyman special, out-of-state owners.
Bring all offers.
Bring all offers, exactly. Those are telltale signs that, hey, these sellers are motivated to sell. And that's where the investors would go and they can go through their real estate agents and make an offer to purchase the house.
Thank you so much for giving us all these details about how to find the easy way these properties. Glenn, let's talk about now how investors can get into this business. Can they do part-time or they need to do full-time? What's the best strategy?
Great question, and I get this question asked a lot as well, because a lot of times the people that are trying to get into the business, wholesaling or into real estate investing, they do have jobs, they have careers, and it's not so easy, nor do I suggest that someone just leaves their current position to go out and get into the real estate market. And the nice part about this, especially wholesaling, is they can do it part-time. Look for houses on your way to work, after work, nights, weekends, and still while you have your job or your career. And one of the ways that I see a lot of wholesalers get, and I prefer this way, I think it's a great way, especially if you have a job, is to just drive around and look for distressed houses. And we call that driving for dollars, right? You're driving different neighborhoods and you're trying to spot these houses that may look like they're in a distressed situation, which is kind of easy to tell, especially in the spring, summer, and fall, because houses that are in a distressed situation often have overgrown grass, shrubs, landscaping. Some houses are boarded up. And you can just, you can find these houses in almost every neighborhood. Middle of the road neighborhoods, high-end neighborhoods, it doesn't matter. There are really a lot of them around. And you just gotta drive around and look, and then, jot their numbers down, find out who owns it, and go make offers.
Absolutely, that's a great advice, and you're absolutely right. You don't need to start full-time. You can just start part-time, get your feet in there, and then when everything works well, then you change your career to a full-time, right?
And that's exactly what happens. And some of the wholesalers out there, first of all, if you're doing it part-time, and your assignment fees are $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, that's a lot of money. That's a great part-time income where you're not going out punching the clock, working nights and working weekends and holidays. So you can kind of do it at your own pace as well. And then, like you said, once they get proficient at it, some of these wholesalers, that's all they do full-time, and they're making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 at a clip. So it's a great market. And the nice part about it is, you're helping people, because again, the houses, when I call them in distressed situations, it can be, maybe they're seniors, elderly people, maybe there was issues in the family and they just, didn't have the money to keep the houses up. So the wholesalers can come in, say, we can give you an offer, we can get you out of this property in 10 days, 20 days, and go on with your life. So it's kind of a win-win situation, which it should be.
Yes, and you also mentioned that partnering up with a real estate advisor who can help you to locate these properties, which even will be so much easier.
Absolutely, and that's why I really say, real estate agents, this is what they do, day in, day out. They're constantly looking at that MLS, they're constantly talking to sellers, they can help you make offers, they can give you advice on the neighborhood, on transportation, what's going on there. And again, they're free until you sell the house, and then they get their commissions, which is a great thing too.
Glenn, let's pretend our investors, they found the property and they think it's a great opportunity for them. How they arrive to the offer amount? Great
question. There are two parts to this. One is to find out what the ARV, which is the after repaired value of the house is. So if you're looking at a 4-bedroom, 2-bath colonial, find out what other houses in that neighborhood that a 4-bedroom, 2-baths are selling for. That's the ARV, the after repaired value. So now you're going to know how much those houses are going to sell for. The second thing you need to know is the cost of the repairs, okay? So if you have the ARV and the cost of repairs, you can simply arrive at your offer by using a simple formula, and we call that the 70% rule.
Oh, I heard about that 70% rule. So tell us how exactly that works.
Okay, well, let's say you find out the ARV, the after repaired value of the house, in that neighborhood is, say, $500,000. Now you're going to take 70% of that after repaired value. So it's $500,000 times 70%, which is $350,000. Now you need to put your repair estimate in there, which let's just say it's $100,000. So now you're going to have $500,000 times 70%, which is $350,000. Now you minus that $100,000 renovation, and your offer price is $250,000. You can go up a little, down a little, but it's extremely important to stay with that 70% rule as a maximum offer amount.
Why only 70? What happened the other 30%?
Great, and this is the key to this whole formula. The reason why it's 70% is you need to have room for your closing costs, your holding costs, your financing costs, and real estate commissions, right? So by using that 70%, by not paying any more than 70%, that allows you to have 30% for all those costs, and the most important thing in that 30% is your profit. Let me just give you another quick example. Let's just say the house is going to sell for $100,000. If you use the 70% rule, take $100,000 times 70%, which is $70,000, right? That's all you want to be into this house for. That other $30,000, like we said, is your holding cost and your profit. Once you start going above that 70%, the only thing, do you know what the only thing that gets cut?
What?
It's not the financing, it's not your taxes, it's not insurance, and it's not commissions. It's your profit. That's why it's extremely important to stay with that 70%. Now, don't get me wrong, you can go 70, 72, 73, but you can't push it up to 80, 85, because now you'd be only having 10 or 15% for all of these costs. You're not going to have any room for your profit. So it's kind of a simple formula to go by, and it will keep you in the game.
Glenn, thank you so much for your expert advice. I'm sure this can help many of investors who are watching us today, because I can see all the time that investors come in, they want to make investments, but they're not actually carefully calculating their numbers, and at the end they may not end up with the profit that they're looking for. So to start the investment right from the beginning with the right numbers, that's the key.
That is the key, and you know, I've seen so many, even some seasoned investors, sometimes they stretch that number and they don't make the profits that they're looking to make.
And they get excited about the property and they want to buy it, especially nowadays. The inventory is very short, and they see something, they feel, oh, it's a great opportunity, let me just, submit my offer at the highest, and then at the end they realize, wait a minute, where is my profit, right? But to have somebody like you to guide them and advise them, hey, these are the numbers that you need to get, don't go more than that, will always keep them at that 70% and with more profit in their pocket.
Absolutely, and too often we'll see if they pay more than the 70%, something they have to make an adjustment, and they'll either stretch that ARV to make it worth more, or they're going to lower that estimating cost, okay? And both of those ways are not the way to do it, okay? You can't just, if the house is worth $500, you can't say I'm going to ask $540 because I paid too much. And if your rehab estimate is, say, $80,000, you're probably not going to get it for $60,000, okay? So again, you need to stay with that formula and you'll be okay.
Let's dive our next question, Glenn. How our wholesalers find out the repair costs, how they calculate these numbers?
Great question again. And this is another thing that stops beginning wholesalers from making offers, because they're not sure how to come up with that repair cost. And one of the simple ways to do that is you can always go and take a contractor to a house, just say it's a colonial house, and ask them for some basic costs, like what would a roof cost on this house, or what would siding cost, what if we had to put a new kitchen in, new bathroom, we do the floors, painting, etc. They'll give you basic numbers. They may tell you, well, a roof this size is going to cost between $12,000 and $14,000. Siding may be, $14,000 to $16,000. To put in new kitchens in a house like this, in this neighborhood, it's going to cost you about $14,000. Bathrooms, $10,000. Windows, $300 each. Floors, $8,000 square foot. So you'll make a list of all those. So as a wholesaler, when you go in, you can go right down that list and come close to what the estimate of repairs should be. And remember, as a wholesaler, you don't have to be exact. That's going to be the investor's job, to be exact. You just need to come up with that number so you can follow your 70% rule. So if you come up with a number of an estimate of $80,000, even if the investor says, well, it's more like 95 or whatever, it's not going to be a deal killer. Okay, you just don't want to go in and say, okay, I think it's about $80,000 in repair, and all of a sudden it's 120. Okay, so again, you're going to need that estimate to do your 70% rule, right? $500,000, 70% is $350, minus that $100,000, your offer's at $250. Now, don't forget this. That's what an investor would pay, $250. For your wholesale fee, you need to get it a little bit under that. So say you want to make $10,000. You need to get the house under contract for $240,000, because as the investor, I'm going to pay you, say it's $10,000, so it costs me $240 plus 10 is $250.
Yes.
Right? If you get it under contract for $220, now you just made $30,000. Right, exactly, right. So see how that works?
Absolutely,
So the cost
yes.
of repairs is, you don't have to be exact. Just be close. You need a number to plug in there.
Thank you for sharing all this great information with us, Glenn. What are the qualifications that our wholesalers need to get started?
The great part about wholesaling is you don't really need any qualifications. You don't need a license to do this. You don't have to have a lot of money to do this. You basically have no risk. And it doesn't matter what your credit is. Your job is to go out and find properties that you can assign. Remember, you're assigning your interest, your equitable interest in the contract to someone else for a fee. So you just got to get out there, and like I said before, just drive around, look for these distressed houses, contact a real estate agent, tell them what you're doing, and you can find these real estate agents at a lot of the meetups that they have around, whatever state you're in. There's plenty of those groups around where you can meet investor-friendly real estate agents, and that's where I really like to see you start. So you can keep your job, you can do it part-time, and you can find help that you don't have to pay for. Like I said, real estate agents, they'll get paid with their commissions at the end. Investor-friendly real estate agents. So there you have it. That's the qualification you need. A little desire to get out there and find properties.
Glenn, it was great to have you here today, and thank you for all your great advice. For our viewers, if you have any further questions how wholesaling houses works and you would like to know more, please comment below or contact us. We're here to help you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and follow us on our other social platforms. See you soon.
Well, Gohar, it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate our time together. And for those folks out there, again, my name is Glenn Gallucci. I'm the owner of Peak Properties and Peak Private Lending. We are real estate investors. We've been doing this for a better part of 35 years. We're not only real estate investors, we're private lenders. We lend money to real estate investors in the buy, fix, and flip market. So if you have properties you either want to wholesale to us, or you have properties that you need private funding on, you can contact us. You can go on our website, it's peakprivatelending.com, and you could also get rate quotes on there as well, or you can contact us by email. My email is Glenn with one N, Glen, at peakprivatelending.com, and our telephone number is 201-836-7300. Hope to hear from you soon.